they would come back to me and they'd be like, this doesn't work anymore. I'm stuck. I'm not losing weight. So I had to put them back in the sugar burner, and they were like, wait a second, I'm losing weight eating food again. When I first learned fasting, I was so in love with it that I was like, oh my God, um, everybody needs to fast. Like, we can all just heal ourselves if we fast. And what I started to see is that a lot of my patients, let's use it through the fat burner, sugar burner, fat burner. For years, I would teach my patients nutrition, and they would get results. They were always getting results. But then when I tacked on a fasting window, the results came much quicker. So I started tacking on longer and longer and longer fasting windows. I was like, well, shoot, let's just fast a little longer. And so there was this curve, this sort of pattern that emerged where when I first taught them to fast, there was like a miracle that happened. And because the miracle happened in the fasting state, they just wanted to keep fasting. But then pretty quickly, within 90 days, they would come back to me and they'd be like, this doesn't work anymore. I'm stuck. I'm not losing weight. So I had to put them back in the sugar burner and take fasting away from them. And the minute I moved them back into sugar burner, the first week I did that, they would be eating food and they were like, wait a second, I'm losing weight eating food again. How did that happen? And what I had realized is I had them fasting too much for too long. And most of the time we were doing one meal a day. So I had got overzealous about the fasting, the fat burner window. At the same time, Jason Fung's book, The Obesity Code, had come out. And when the Obesity Code came out, he was really showing that this is where the O matters, the one meal a day crew, became really popular. And all these people did the same thing I had already experienced in my office. The whole world was like, fasting, yay, it's amazing. And they were one meal a day, one meal a day, one meal a day, one meal a day. And then I had already course corrected and was starting to show my patients feast famine cycling, how to do this to hormones. And so I then took that to my YouTube channel, where all these one meal a day people started to realize they too had to vary it a lot more. The most frustrating thing, the most absolutely frustrating thing about this metabolic switch is so many of us get in the fasted state and we love it and we want to stay there. Now, I will talk about who can stay there longer, but if you are getting your heart pounding, if you are getting dizzy, that is a sign your adrenals are way overstimulated and it's time to go back to food. Go back to the foundational five. Just focus on eating clean food. I'm not saying go back to any food. I'm saying go back to making sure that your blood sugar is in good shape. You're eating foods that don't spike your blood sugar. Make sure you're eating nature's carbs. So I wouldn't be doing breads and pastas and all of that. When I say go back to food and carbs, I'm saying go back to fruits and vegetables and squashes and potatoes. Go back to those carbs. Make sure you're still adding in a lot of fermented foods so that you can feed your microbiome. That's principle number 3. Make sure you're having protein with every meal and that you're having good fat with every meal. And then maybe tack on smaller fasting windows. So, and then just know for everybody, you're going to have to metabolic that. I mean, it's really hard because you love fasting, and I get it. I'm the same way. Now, the exception to this is the postmenopausal woman. The idea is that there's a reason we live 42.5% of our life in our post-reproductive years. There is an energy shift that is happening to us when we go into our postmenopausal years. That energy shift makes our brains less sensitive to glucose and more sensitive to ketones. Lisa Mosconi, brain expert, has proven that. Alzheimer's is an example. It's called diabetes type 3, is an example of where a menopausal woman didn't get the memo that she was supposed to spend more time with her blood sugar lower here, and we'll talk about this in a moment, and more time in the fat burning state. So I strongly, strongly feel postmenopausal women thrive more in the fat burner state than other women. Cycling women have to figure out how to metabolically switch according to their cycle, and perimenopausal women need to metabolically switch according to their symptoms. But postmenopausal women, I give you permission to spend more time in your fat burning state, which means longer fasts, which means more keto. You will thrive there. But now that you can see that, so metabolic switch is important. Cycling women do it according to their cycle. Perimenopausal women do it according to symptoms and their cycle. We kind of have to create a hybrid. And postmenopausal women, we're going to spend a little more time in our fat burning state, but we still need to pop out and make sure we're eating food. So I'm not telling you not to eat food. You can spend a little more time in fat burning. If you want to lose menopausal weight, make sure that you're in ketobiotic more. Make sure you're not raising glucose too high, because you become less efficient at using glucose. As a postmenopausal woman, you are less efficient at using glucose. And that's not just from a brain level, that's from a body level. So you do better, longer fasts, you do better ketobiotic, but you still need hormone feasting days.
You want to know the foods that will support hormones? Guess what? I have them for you already. It's a free giveaway. Just click the link below and I'll send you a list of all the foods that support amazing hormonal health.
So ketones. You know you have officially switched and you are in the fat burning place when you are 0.5 or greater, 0.5 millimoles or greater. Tells you you've switched. Now, a lot of people think better ketone numbers mean better results. Not always. I mean, it's nice to have more ketones because your brain kind of sharpens and it feels good. But as long as you're 0.5, you're in ketosis, you're over there. I have sat with a lot of metabolic experts, and I've had this discussion with everybody from Jason Fung to Dominic D'Agostino to Megan Ramos to Sachin Panda. Like, I've asked this question about what number of ketone are we looking for? And everybody agrees that there seems to be a sweet spot around 1.0, 1.5. Now, a lot of you in your 3-day water fast, you're noticing that you get up into 4.0 or 5.0 and you're like buzzing over there, which is awesome. But that's not the goal. It's fun to be buzzing. It's, but it's not the goal. The goal is to stay here and just make sure you're here as often as you possibly can. And you're here when you're 0.5 or greater. Now, some of you will say, well, gosh, I get at 0.5 and I'm still hungry. Like, stick with it. Just keep priming this. And the more you do it, the more this feels effortless. And most people will tell you that once they get their metabolic switch really smooth and it's like they're able to do it, that just hunger becomes like a non-event.
Okay, where are my gals that are struggling with hormonal imbalance? Bloated, feeling like you're not making progress with weight loss? You need to add these foods in so that you can support better hormonal health. There is a lifestyle that estrogen wants you to live, and there is a lifestyle that progesterone wants you to live.